my substance that whole weekend.
This guy.
You want a lightsaber demo? Where did I put that? That plastic shit. Some Lord looking ass. Alright. Here we go. Since the Destiny's not entertaining enough, I'll give you a lightsaber demo. So what you want to do is when you're facing a Sith Lord, you want to get them like this. You want to get them... See how I did that? You want to do like a... Oh, shit!
Hello everyone! Welcome back to this Monday vlog. My name is Ian, the part-time Dungeon Master, and this is what I'm doing instead of Dungeon Mastering. As you saw from my friend Chris's opening performance of his lightsaber skills in defeating the dreaded Ceiling Light, a bit of a story going on. Well, not really a story. For those of you who have been with this channel since the beginning know that I used to play Star Wars Destiny on here. Actually, in fact, they were my best viewed videos. The problem is that, well, they stopped being enjoyable. The game stopped being enjoyable. So I stopped playing. Yeah, I got like over 150 views, which, at my small number, that's pretty good. But 150 views, like, every video, because it was popular and people liked it. I just got so frustrated with the game, I stopped playing. I also still have a bunch of Star Wars Destiny stuff up there. So those of you who don't know what Star Wars Destiny is, it's essentially a card and dice game, where essentially you get one action per turn unless something else gives you an extra action, and you essentially, defeat the other opponent by milling them out, or by defeating their characters. You have, I want to say, 30 points in order to create a deck, which is essentially you spend on your heroes or villains or whatever to essentially, create what you're going to be basing your deck around. If you liked themed, there was like Luke Solo, which was just like Luke Skywalker with Han Solo. There was old Luke and Rey. There was a bunch of other ones that were really good together, but, except for Palpatine. Palpatine was always good by himself because, two-die Palp, pretty hard to kill sometimes. But I enjoyed the game. I love the mechanics of the game. The game was had a bit of a simplistic feel to it at times because it was just so easy to pick up and play. However, there was a huge problem with the game. You see, in Magic the Gathering, there's something called the standard block, which is essentially a constantly shifting block of these three sets are what's standard. New set comes out, so it moves over, so the old set drops off. And so on and so forth, and it just keeps moving. FFG didn't have this. They didn't have this for Star Wars Destiny. And recently, FFG decided that they're no longer going to do Star Wars Destiny content. Which sucks, because the online community for Star Wars Destiny is pretty strong. It's pretty nice. They work very hard. They even said that they're probably just going to develop their own content for the game moving forward. Because, well, let's face it, if the official people aren't going to make stuff anymore, then they might as well make it themselves. But keyword was online. Star Wars Destiny failed in the long run financially, and that's pretty much how it is. They didn't have that much of a community in stores, and I frequent gaming stores, and I don't mean like, ooh, we play video games here. No, I mean like, we play Magic the Gathering and Pokemon and Dungeons and Dragons up at my gaming store. That's what the community is mostly about. Every once in a blue moon, there's something Yu-Gi-Oh! Related. But it's primarily Magic, Pokemon, and D&D. And comics. Lots of comics. But that's just the main focus of the store and its community. As such, there's been some Star Wars stuff just sitting up on the shelf there, and it took them a while to get that stuff, but for the most part, it just kind of sits there. And then, what was it, about a 2-hour drive? Yeah, it's about a 2-hour drive for me to the closest store that actually held Star Wars Destiny tournaments. And that's how aggravating it is. That's how hard it was to find like in real life games, because just the community itself wasn't there. There was no nearby communities, and I tried starting one not too long ago. I want to say probably about 7 or 8 months ago in the store that I go to, but there was just no interest in it. And honestly, I can see as to why. So one of the reasons why Star Wars Destiny lost a lot of its player base is because of, well, mitigation. You see, there's a whole aspect of the game called mitigation, which is essentially, I remove your dice off the field. And by removing the dice off the field, you can't resolve them, which means you can't do damage, you can't get resources, can't get shields, can't do special abilities, so on and so forth. But there was essentially, because there was no block, like I mentioned, for Magic the Gathering, that means all cards were pretty much legal for tournament use. So you'd go to a tournament, and there would be someone who runs like 1 or 2 equipment cards, and just mitigates you, and that's all they do. They just keep mitigating you. They keep removing your dice. They just constantly remove it. It's like, oh, you thought you were going to do something this turn, but no, we're going to play solitaire. I'm going to remove your dice and prevent you from doing anything. You might still be able to win if you're able to beat out the mitigation, but it was just so hard and difficult to do that because there would just be so much of it in one deck, and it's just so frustrating to deal with. And it's also one of the reasons why I stopped uploading videos, is because I was playing tournament decks, and I would often like put like, hey, we're playing jank decks, let's play jank decks. And someone would come in and it's like, oh, I'm playing a jank deck and it's a tournament deck. And it's like, this is not a jank deck. Do you know what a jank deck is? It's something you threw together for fun. And then the community would get super toxic at you. It's like, why are you limiting, certain cards? Why are you limiting this? It's like, because I want the game to be fun. I want to play in a tournament where I don't have to worry about 50 freaking removals every time, extending out the game longer duration than it needs to be, because I have to sit there, roll out my character, and scoop up my dice immediately after. That's also another reason why I stopped doing the videos, was the fact of the toxicity. There's a number of members who would, like, if they watched your videos, they would simply comment, you're too negative. I'm too negative? I'm frustrated. I'm frustrated because the game is crap at times, and I'm frustrated because I'm getting nothing but mitigation thrown at me. It's frustrating. You'd be frustrated too. I played against one guy in one tournament, and he had the worst luck. He actually did not build a deck full of mitigation. He actually built a themed deck that was made to pump out vehicles and, throw them at you. But he was just having terrible rolls. Lucky me, I won that. But the fact is that he was doing everything right, and he just couldn't get what he wanted or what he needed. And that's frustrating. And that's the feeling that you get. And if you get upset at someone for being frustrated because they're getting screwed over, what the hell's wrong with you? But yeah, it's because of the toxicity of that I ended up leaving the whole community as a whole and stopped playing. Even though, saying that, I still actually like going back and watching some of the videos that, some of my friends, such as Monk's Battlefield Gaming and Double Blanks Gaming, and, Double Blanks is kind of a hit or miss nowadays because of everything. Jay and Chris, who you saw in the opening video, they kind of have their own thing going on in life now, so they don't really post up that much anymore. That or Chris lost his mind, I can't remember which. I think Chris lost his mind, and that's the reason why his channel's always empty. Because he'll, delete stuff, shortly after posting it, because he's weird, and he's psychotic, or I don't know. Still like the guy. Super cool guy. But yeah. So I'm sorry this Monday vlog became much more of a rant of but that's just kind of how it is. The game was fun. The mechanics of the game were great, but the problem is because of lack of regulation, it became a mess for a long, solid streak of nothing but mitigation. And then they made like a shield meta. It's like, ooh, it's super good to get shields. You want to get shields. If you have certain cards, you can do extra damage for having shields. And then, in the same breath, they also made shield destroying meta. They just made cards that it's like, oh, goodbye to your shields, and I'm going to punish you for having shields. And it's just... Like I said, the game was fun. But because of lack of regulation, it just became terrible. Anyways, catch you guys in the next video.